Greetings, everyone. How are you? It's Tuesday evening over here in Northeast Minnesota. And I hope that wherever you are in the world, that you're doing really well. And that maybe you can take a little time out and just listen and tune in with me, whether you're watching it right now live or you're watching it later. My heart is going out to you. I have two goals in life, From the time I was a really small young girl. And those goals were to be a mama. My son left Earth, willing or unwilling, just a little over a year ago, almost a year and 2 months. And I can't hide the pain in my eyes. I will tell you that it's the worst pain in the world. I will tell you that you will likely cry every day. And I will tell you that your body may, like mine, if you went through several years of, really intense stress, and you worry that they're off on their journey alone, you can stay connected. Many of my live streams may seem really basic or simple, or they might just kind of not really fit your needs, and you're looking to go higher and faster. Build with me and listen, because I'll take you there. But it's good that everyone is able to understand, okay? So I often refer to these three movies, and that's going to be our subject tonight, is in my research, I came across a few things, recently. When I was a little girl, I was told to check certain things about the fingernails and certain things about the ears and certain things about the back of the head and certain things about the skin. And then later, I learned from Ayurvedic teachers. I just was so hungry. I paid for more and more and more and more classes with my own money. As a young 20-something and a 30-something, and even as a 40 and a 50-something, and now I'll be going into being a 60-something next year. I learned, and I want to share these things with you because we're sitting on the precipice of not being sustainable as a human species. And it's something that for 37 years, I have taught classes, I have given workshops, scores of thyroid workshops, until finally I published my own book. People ask me, would you just put it into a book? It's because if something happens to you, the book will always be there. I heard my grandmother read the Bible. So I'm going to start with something fun, and this is actually nothing that we're going to talk about tonight is going to be super depressing or cause you more pain and anxiety. I want you to join me because once we start getting into this a little bit, I'm going to share something that I actually was just, whoa, as I was doing my research late at night, looking for something else. And as I'm reading through a PubMed medical abstract, I was like, whoa, this is really substantial. And I have found little seeds and little grains and little particles and little nuggets by actively seeking them out for so long that putting them all together brings me an understanding about what's really going on. But before we dig in, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm having some almond nog, which you can get at Aldi's. It's not the healthiest thing in the world, but it's not dairy. And I really strongly suggest that you avoid dairy. I've had the dogs keeping me awake for the last 3 nights because I gave them some dairy products that were given to me. And I thought, well, why not? They've had kefir in the past, and I thought of it. I had a free bottle given to me that someone didn't want. So at least they're getting probiotics, and they have a different digestion than I do, and they can digest it. But oh my gosh, what a terrible mistake. So I did a lot of cleaning today to clean things up and a lot of running in and outside. I'm drinking some almond nug in my Gold Digger mug, and I add something to my nog just like we did so long ago. And I want to thank Sis Zuri for this, but she sent this to me a couple of years ago. And it is whole nutmeg by the Morton and Bassett Company in San Francisco. And I accidentally dropped it and cracked the lid, I believe. So I keep it in a plastic bag. So for those of you that have only ever shaken nutmeg that's already ground, the benefit in having it whole is that you're going to get a much fresher source of nutmeg. It's going to have a nice bounce in the taste. And so you'll see that sometimes when you pull these, well, maybe I didn't pull one out that's actually, here's one that's been. So my voice kind of has that, you're a little bit tired sound to it because I was up at 1:30, 3:30, and okay, we got to go out to go to the bathroom. So when you grind the nutmeg, you'll kind of grind grinding it off. And you're going to grind it with, whatever kind, or grate it, not grind it. You're going to look for the smallest section. See how that one's really tiny? And these get bigger, and this is kind of a small one too, but you want to use the smallest one and then just aim it over your cup and, kind of up and down, and you'll grate your nutmeg. You can have too much nutmeg. Nutmeg can make you a little delusional. By the way, you could actually poison people with nutmeg. I don't recommend it. So it's a good idea not to get too heavy-handed with the nutmeg, okay? When I was at the store, I got a couple of these guys down here. I love these guys. I wait every year for September, October, or whenever. And I was like, I'm kind of miffed. I didn't really get many persimmons. But look at this, will you? There's two different kinds of persimmons that I'm aware of, and I'm sure there's more in different parts of the world. But there's this one, the big one. And then there's this one, which is actually, this one is my favorite, the tomato-looking guy. Okay. You want to get a nice dark orange. You don't want the ones that are really faded, unless that's all you can get. So when I select fruit from the grocery store, which is not my favorite, most of my life as an adult, I was at farmers markets that were just amazing in Santa Cruz. Food grown by the ocean. But this one needs to be kind of soft and squishy on the bottom for it to be ripe. Really and truly, if you want to just eat it like, a piece of fruit, wash it and maybe take some of this stuff off. Persimmons, absolutely love them. I got this one for $1. I think they were both $1.99 at the regular grocery store. Okay. And before we get started, I'm going to show you a picture of me a couple of years ago before we really got into the addiction. I think this was taken in 2016 or 17. I cut my dreadlocks that were really long to the end of my back, and I'm regrowing these babies November of 2018. So this was kind of a little fun here, since we're talking about, Avatar. That's me and my same Subaru. And here's another one that was maybe a year or two before that. As they were growing, I'm laying on a park bench. Okay. So when I do use makeup, I like to do something kind of fun with it. If you've seen the movie, we talk about The Matrix, or I talk about The Matrix quite a bit, and maybe you do too. If you've seen the movie Avatar, it is a spectacular movie, and there's so much more to it that really alludes to so many things about our interconnectedness with life, about nature, about the rainforest. It also alludes in many places to Hinduism. And I know this from being a philosophy undergrad student and taking a course called Philosophies of Asia, because we touched on Hinduism. And I got to learn more about Hinduism than I'd never known before. And there's a lot about Hinduism I think is just really absolutely amazing. Lovely. I cherish it. But as a shaman, a real shaman in life, I don't touch any religion. So I prefer when people don't try to kind of push theirs. So whether it's using religious statements to someone that you really don't know is connected to your religion or not, like amen, or shalom, or Buddha be with you, or, I know I was Rastafari for over 30 years, and a lot of people consider that to be a religion. I don't. I consider it to be a way of life in the truest sense. It was a movement of African people, African descendants, to push back on colonialism and imperialism. But I'm very careful not to say, hey, jobless, which I did for a long time. And I had to realize that's kind of not really copacetic. People don't want to feel like they're being pushed into your corral. So be careful about that. Okay. I've spoken many times, I think including the last live stream that I did, that soil is our immunity. And if you've seen the movie Avatar, if you haven't seen the movie, I would say wait, go watch the movie and then watch this live stream if you want to. So spoiler alert, I would just kind of wait if you haven't seen it before. There is a new movie in the makings for another, a revision of Avatar, another movie, the next sequel is the word I'm looking for. Excuse me. And I know they're spending a lot of money. And I've read up about the director and the guy who's, making all this happen for Avatar, and he's pretty spectacular. So I know that when I had a young man move in recently, and I've had many young people that I've taken under my wing, I was like, Avatar is like mandatory homework. I mentioned it to several people actually, that Avatar was going to be mandatory homework, because in the Matrix, you can start to see a visual presentation, an experiential presentation, surrounding you, and you're watching and going, wow, yeah, it really is kind of a real obedience-based environment. It really is an electromagnetic conducting environment, and we're contributing to it. We're actually being farmed. And there's so much more in the Matrix, but just for brevity at this moment. And in Avatar, what I see is that we have the opportunity to avert exploitation. That even when a man comes rolling in his wheelchair and his life has been turned upside down, just like mine, I'm going to be a grandmother, I'm going to be mom, Zawa's mom, and we're going to have this kind of a life, and we're going to take off in the RV, and he's going to Airbnb, and all the plans were laid out for 2020. We still would have done them even with COVID. I know how he and I roll, But this man goes, and he now is put into one of the Na'vi people, which are very large, striped people, right? There's kind of like a V pattern of stripes down the face, down the chest, down the body. And you see the young woman who he starts to fall for her, because she takes him in and she's like, something's not right. Like, you should have known these things by now. And this is what I was also speaking about in my video when I touched on dreams and visions, using our internal guidance and protection. But what I'm really seeing, without it being a put down, is I'm not finding anyone out there who is really instructed on how to use it when they were very young. Not one person. I have not met one. Not one. I've been introduced to people who say, oh, I'm a psychic medium. I meet up with them excited, hoping that they did get that, but they didn't. And there's no reason for it, because it shouldn't be limited to one or two people. So in the movie Avatar, you see that they're very fluid with their lives. They get the sleep that they need, they wake up, right? And they live in this bioluminescent environment where, things are very alive. Their whole cellular capacity is, an expression. Their cellular expression is just vibrant colors, And so for a person to come from this very mundane, bare, just over broken jobbing, penal institutions, schools and vaccines and all this junk, and then goes into this rainforest with these people that have a society that's built on trust and not competition. It's built on togetherness and connection, not on division, not on, well, I'm going to keep everything I've got a secret from you, right? And sadly, while we may think we have benevolent capitalism, we don't. And so everyone right now is really up in arms. Well, I don't want communism, and I don't want socialism either. And I don't want so-and-so to become president, because they're going to take us all into, and they're going to force us into one of these systems, right? And I've been listening to this blah, 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 this rhetoric since I've been a little child. No one has come to save us in terms of a president. I've looked into so many religions, cultural traditions. I've gone to different countries, like I shared with you in my other live stream. I'm going to share something with you that I found so profound, because I'd already found the pieces I'd shared with you that, yes, as a matter of fact, we were telepathic until it was forced upon you. It's kind of like what's going on right now. Psychological warfare. You put the mask on, you got to wear the mask. It's kind of required in the store. Next thing you know, store owners, businesses, including the health food store I went to here in Duluth tonight, right? Looking for some L-glutamine for the dogs, for their belly. We don't have any L-glutamine. It's been really hard to get. I'm like, it's okay. I'll go to my Old Faithful. I just wanted it right now, so I can dose them and open a capsule on their tongue. And she's like, no, we've got this other stuff that's like a gut tonic thing, and it's like $35. And I'm like, oh, no. Thank you, but no thanks. They had like a table set up where you couldn't even walk into the store and peruse what you wanted and read the label. I'm like, come on. I told them, I'm like, are you kidding me? This is all make-believe. Emperor's new clothes, baby. Yeah, I'm not certain. But people, but. Here, we used to use telepathy all the time. We didn't use guttural sounds from the gut. Blah, 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 blah. Dogs don't. They get tired of me doing it. I get tired of me doing it. And furthermore, it's exhausting and fatiguing to the brain to constantly calculate grammar and sentences in your headspace. Can't tell if there's anybody here. There is, okay. Let me know if you're here in the sidebar. It's very, very exhausting. It's fatiguing to be like, should I say it like this? Or should I say it like that? Or, you're doing all of this framework inside your head, seconds, nanoseconds, before you're letting it out, and we all know people that were just like, man, that guy just totally speaks out of his, he doesn't even think about what he ever says. Proof positive. We do think about what we say. It's exhausting to constantly think about what we're going to say and how we should say it. And therein lies all these miscommunications, because instead of just, exchanging feelings, sending and receiving, rather, that's better. Sending and receiving these feelings, these emotions, this intuition, group mind. We can't, because we've been worked over through domestication for so long. Our soil, which is our immunity, we would eat and shit seeds, not wipe our butt, our backside, with a bunch of paper that we got to go run and hoard and buy. I mean, my God, the minute this whole scam came out, people were out there with a big pallet full of toilet paper. I mean, come on. And I found myself even thinking, oh gosh, winter's coming. Maybe I should get at least like 3 or 4 12 packs in here, because, I don't know. Maybe I should. Then I won't have to run out. What if I told you that you always spoke telepathically? What if I told you that you always knew medicine, except now they've been jabbing you with infection and your grandparents and your great-grandparents for all these years, and it's systemic? What if I told you that my very, 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 very high-level intuitive and perceptive abilities, and I mean they're high level, I hear, I've given it to other people, hundreds, and they're like, whoa, no way you could have known that. Well, yes, I could, and yes, you can, and yes, you should. But when I get these hair tissue tests, and I find that the calcium is up too high from the magnesium, and we're forming calcium shells, we're building calcifications around these glands that you need to be, very sensory. The eye doesn't just see just from, the eyeball. It refracts back into the pituitary and the pineal gland so that you can start to sense. And this is why day and light and darkness are so crucial. And speaking of which, a lot of people are speaking about a very dark upcoming solstice or close to it. So have plans. There's a plan, like Third World, the reggae group, State of Siege, to heat up the water. I'm going to tell you, you had telepathy, you had your medicine. You are now baptized to expect yourself to be sick. I don't know. I haven't really had the flu for like 3 years. I think I'm pretty healthy. No, that doesn't mean you're healthy. That doesn't even remotely mean you're healthy. Well, I eat this and this and this and this. I eat pretty healthy. Nope, that's not eating healthy either. Why does she want me to take my temperature? Because I'm not going to give you a 3-day dissertation as to why I need it. But if you'll trust me and you'll provide it to me, I'll be able to help you. Okay? Don't always doubt. In the movie Avatar, there was a shaman who I believe was a young woman, I can't remember her name now, that the Avatar, came in as a Na'vi that was the man in the wheelchair. And eventually, he was fighting for the side. It's always fighting, with the warmongers, the war shippers. It's always fighting. It's always fighting and conquering and battling and kill it and destroy it. There's always a suspicious lump on the face, a suspicious bump. It's a very, very caustic system. Guess what? You have stripes. You have stripes. They're called Blasco Stripes. Blascho. Blasco. From Alfred Blasco, 1901. And you can see them under black light and UV light. Is anybody there? Let me see. Yes. I'd love to know who's there. So let me know in the sidebar so we can interact. You have stripes. I have put together so many pieces that I've never shared here on YouTube. And this is one piece that I found and I thought, I'm excited. I'm going to come share this piece with you. You can see the stripes. They're embryonic migrating lines that develop on the body in a V shape, exactly like the movie, that you can see on yourself with a black light or with a UV light, ultraviolet. Okay? That's one big nugget I wanted to share with you. Not only were you telepathic, you weren't expecting yourself to be sick, you weren't domesticated. You need to realize we cannot possibly sustain you dyeing your hair, you perming your hair, you going and getting your Xanax and all of your medications, you getting more and more injections, you keep going to the doctor, you keep going and buying another vehicle, we can't do that. More knickknacks, more stuff, right? Look at, got my stuff, but I could probably fit most of it in a bus, hand the plants off to people that I don't take, and go. I am a mama first, and second, I'm an advocate for nature. So instead of me pushing religion, politics, medical industry, you need to go to the doctor and get checked on that. Sometimes you do. Because now you've gone so far into your degeneration. You've lost so much energy because you're so confused. And I speak with people that are confused every single day. We're all confused. How could we not be confused based upon the predatory system? Well, what do you mean, predatory system? Well, let's see. You could have easily lived for 1,000 years, but you don't have oxygen of the content that we used to have. You don't live in nature, you live in a litter box. You're under constant stress to pay for your own life. Every time I turn around, tonight it was $315 for the website. Soon it'll be $50-something for the cell phone. Then it'll be the rent on the place I stay in, right? The little litter box I stay in. It'll be the Minnesota power bill. It'll be gas in the car. It'll be some repairs. It'll be a headlight goes out and it's got to be put in only by the mechanic. And then I've got to kind of dodge the cigarette smokers, dodge the fanatics. Oh my God, they're not wearing a mask. Oh, I can't believe they're infecting me. God, what are they thinking? Really? Really, really, really. What is your knowledge level about viruses, about bacteria, about infection? That's why I have my course for $12 called Domestication. It's crucial that everyone watches it and has its fun, short videos, right? Instead of this, open your hands. This is what you do when you're arrested, whether it's this way or this way, okay? The back or the front. You give them your hands so they can tie your hands and bondage you, put you in bondage. They can bind you. It's legally binding with the agency. That's why I keep saying no agency, no agency. Open your hands. Sit quietly on your couch, in a chair, on the ground. I do this every day. And say, what can I do? And I heard, get back on your YouTube channel. You're going to be needed. If I'm not needed, I'll just stop coming. You know, because people are kind of funny. They don't even realize that due to thyroid deficiency and due to their quirky eating style, their dietary habits, and the thoughts that they have, they become such a deranged animal on the plantation. That's why one of the first live streams and posts I was doing on Facebook was about the game Battleship. I said, doesn't this sound pretty realistic? And then I showed the game Operation years later, and I showed my son, he was laughing. And then I showed the game Monopoly. And I showed Uncle Sam, the uncle on Monopoly, and others. All of these were to prepare you, and Avatar has that quality to it, amongst others. Now, many of you on your social media platforms have developed your own avatar. So now you use kind of like a comic book version of yourself because, well, it's kind of fun. Is it? Or have you, in fact, become seduced to reduce? I don't have an avatar. I don't want one. I want to be in my skin bag. And again, my mission is one. Stay connected with my child and the ancestors, because bilocation means he could reincarnate. At the same time, I can connect with his persona, his personality, his spirit, his ancestor self. Just today, just as I was waking today from sleep, the little bit of sleep I got from running in and out, I heard my son say addiction is 50% mind control. I was reading a couple blurbs on addiction by the doctor, yet another doctor, I want to say his name is Paul Thomas, I could be wrong, that's getting his medical license yanked for doing an absolute empirical study on office visits to doctors by vaccinated and unvaccinated people. They followed them over time, okay? So you have stripes. They're called Blasco lines from Alfred Blasco. Okay. What else did I want to say here? The forest is how we sustain ourselves. The forest. I told you I started word sound power in the 70s. Forest. It's where you go to rest. It's where you go to recharge. It's where you bring up the bars. That's why I have to get out. I can't just sit in a damn house. I can't sit at a job. That's why many of you start to get really anxious and fidgety. Most of you don't realize it, but a very high number of the people, all of our people today, have some capacity of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And it's not a documented, it's not a diagnosed official thing for most of the people. It's just that they've got a level of PTSD like I do, that puts you in survival mode. So maybe it's like, I'm going to keep the house clean and I'm going to keep all the bills paid and I'm going to hold it all together the best I can and I'm going to relax when I relax. And I'm just, and you get up and you start to feel like a machine. Let me open the blinds, pull back the curtains, fill up the water filtration, add water to the water filter, stack up my bottles, get the dogs in and out. We're like a little robot. What if the dogs didn't have to be put on a leash? What if you didn't have to give them some crap ass food like 90% of people are doing, and they put what they call dog food into a bowl, which is dry kibble, meaning they take the bag and they're like putting it in there. They get up and they have their coffee. Or they get up right away and within an hour they're eating. That's why I said, please watch my YouTube video, especially when I looked prettier. I don't right now and I get it. It's okay. I'm on the way though. Watch my YouTube video, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay? What else did I want to say? So these V-shaped lines go down our back, our chest, our stomach, just like you see on Na'vi in the movie Avatar. Doctors first saw them, like Alfred in 1901, Blasco, Blascho, German doctor, of course, when people had skin diseases, because this is an embryonic migration. It doesn't follow the nervous system. It is embryonic, which for me signifies that it comes from the mother. Okay? So in other words, matrilineal that I was mentioning the other day takes a whole new dimension if you take your line pattern after your mother. Okay? I can't say that's for sure, but I'm saying that's what I'm feeling is probably the case, right? Again, you see it under black light or ultraviolet light. In Avatar, we were bioluminescent. We could have had that today, but we don't. So now that our lighting system has been changed, the grandmother trees have been cut down, all these beautiful rainforests have been changed. You have technology, which I call trick knowledge eye, E-Y-E at the end, trick knowledge eye. There's that big eye that likes to just look at everything we're doing. I drive down the road, I come to a stop, bam, there's another one of those eyes looking at me on the camera. You got your smart TV, your smartphone, everything's so damn smart. But what about the technology in Avatar? It wasn't trick knowledge eye. It was real. We didn't have to pay for it. We didn't have to slave on the plantation. It was real. It was genuine. It was accessible to all. Okay? So again, I know, especially from losing my child on earth, I don't like it when people push the religion. I really don't. If I tell you I'm a shaman, I'm not a part-time shaman. I'm not a shamanic practitioner. I'm a shaman from birth who felt qualified by around the age of 55 to start referring to myself and to abandon and rather shed my slave plantation name. So people who love me and respect me, they don't call me Karen. They know it irritates me. It grates on my nerves like the nutmeg, okay? I want to share one last thing with you before we go. I had a license and insurance in the city of Cloquet, Minnesota for going on, would have been 18 years, February the 1st of 2021. 18 years. Well, excuse me, well, I got my son up and got him ready. Got the dog in and out and got him fed. Got the curtains opened. Ran the household. Looked at the texts I had to respond to because I still had some wellness clients. People telling me, oh, I can't come in, I'm sick, or this, that. And you got to get back to people while you're also trying to get a child out the door. I wasn't sitting on my butt like most of us are today. And I know a lot of mothers, and they have it really great, and I'm very thankful and happy for you that you have, but I did not have that. I had to get up and run a business, work a couple of jobs, take care of a child, and try different things until I could get myself into a space where I had reduced my expenses enough to where the priority came into the full picture of my being able to be with my child, hands-on, not working 40 hours a week, which absolutely was giving me a nervous breakdown. It was stressing me out. I opened my business February 1st, 2003. And when I did, I didn't know anyone in town. I had moved across country from Santa Cruz as a 42-year-old with a 7-year-old boy, not expecting the level of racism that I really experienced in Cloquet. And moreover, not as much racism directly, not overt, but this covert, nonsensical, just slap-happy ignorance about race. My son is melanated, and I brought him in melanated intentionally. I planned him. Oh, I didn't just screw a dude and end up with a mixed child. I'm not that type. And if you did, so be it. And maybe it's a blessing for you. But I'm just saying that in my case, I planned my son. So I don't take to people giving me ignorance. I had moved to a place where 1 mile away from my home where we lived was a native indigenous peoples reservation called Fond du Lac. And the tribe of people was Ojibwe. And I had lived by Cherokee people, and I had lived by other native peoples in California, but never Ojibwe. And so when I opened my business, in order to get clients, like you got to do, right? I ran specials, 2003. And, I had cards printed by Vistaprint. I was like, oh, this is a really cheap deal, $20. I can get a whole big box of cards. I could pass them out. And I figured it would just take off from there. But it didn't. So I printed up some coupons by finding a local printer. And I said, can you print me up just some really cute coupons? Come in and get an hour massage back then for $25 and then $35 or something like that, $45. Anyway, currently it's $85 for an hour because I'm very experienced. And I bring the product that I do, and I've taught other women how to make it. So I had a great many Native American women. I had Finlander women too that were just absolutely bright and eye-opening. But Native American women, I remember two in particular, that when they came and I was working on their body, and I do a very Esalen style massage, which comes from the Esalen Institute in Big Sur, California, which is very near to where I spent my life in Santa Cruz. And it's, starting with just this very loving with the face. I put on a Kleenex and a warmed eye pillow. I have a towel warmer, and I'm very gentle on the face, where a lot of gals like really dig in and you're like, it's my face. Geez, I'm doing the clavicle, and I'm doing around the upper chest, and therein you can feel if someone's got, cysts. You're not going all the way down to the nipple because that's something we're not supposed to do. Although in massage school, I appreciated someone actually, helping me and massaging my breasts with it being completely non-sexual. And so women came back over and over, and I can say probably scores of women, probably 20 to 40 women at least, that we cried together. I mean, I could just cry talking about it right now. They told me about how they were elder to me, and how they were ripped out of their home and forbidden to use their language, how their hair was cut off, how they were sexually abused, by people that were supposed to be religiously pious, totally upstanding people, nuns and priests and whatever you call it in the Catholic tradition. But, just aching to see their mother and father, and being told, oh, they can't come today or whatever, and being punished all the time, and just being so pushed down. And I mean, I didn't really have that understanding. And so we both just cried and cried, and I just wrapped her up, and I spent lots of extra time with women and just, rubbed their head. And these are things that I wanted done for me when my son died. I wanted a woman who was close to my age, to wrap her arms around me and just rock me. And I did get that, for a short time at the shop. The women put me on the table and put some blankets over me, because I was like, no, I got to keep going. I got to do this. I got to do that. And they go, just lay down for like 5 minutes. And I will never, ever forget Sandy and Diane and Cass at Tranquility Day Spa for doing that. I mean, those ladies were so amazing, you know, and just to have just 10, 15 minutes. And they would have done it longer, but I was like, I really think I got to get up because I've got a client coming, and the client had actually canceled. So I wish I would have stayed longer, because you need it. You know, you really need it. And Sandy Hill, who's a massage therapist in Cloquet, had sent me a free 1-hour gift certificate. She said, you really need to get in. She's a pastor's wife. And I'm so thankful, because who knows, you know, you're not thinking right when something just whams you. If we can put in synopsis, in finality here, if we can put pieces together, if we can come together and support getting us stronger individually, as a community, helping nature, we have a small window of opportunity, but it's still possible. It's just that I'm trying and crying and working and giving workshops and helping and helping and helping and helping for free, to the point of my own financial brink of desperation and bankruptcy. And that's why I started getting very firm about, nope, I charge for my time. My time is valuable. It's because you learn repeatedly that was precious time that could have been given to my son, that was precious earned income that I deserved after spending as much as I did to be able to take vacations and do things with my child that makes memories. So, I mean, I had legit paid the dues. The gist of this live stream is that we do have these stripes, these V-shaped stripes, that can be seen on a black light or an ultraviolet light, that Alfred Blaschick, right? B-L-A-S-C-H, Blasco, the Blasco lines, which is interesting because it always makes me think of those, not, I don't say NASDAQ, NASCO lines. I'm thinking about that. Anyway, I don't want to keep blabbing, and I want to go get my laundry. I don't see any questions or comments. So I love you dearly. I hope that you will take a moment to click like on the video, because otherwise what happens is YouTube has some kind of a deal. Bless up, I can't see who it is. Oh, wonderful. Good to see you, Whitney. And then I go and I try to access the video, and it's kind of underneath where you have to click on live streams instead of uploads. And it's kind of confusing. I'm not here to be someone who's the best in technology. I'm here to lend my heart and my experience over many, many lifetimes to say, maybe we can put aside some of the industrial stuff and the industrial thinking, the religion, the medical industry, the pharmaceutical, all this stuff, the banking, the financial, the stock market, concrete and blacktopping all of our roads. We don't need a concrete jungle. What we need is connection. We need to look at the movie Avatar as a representation of what we could be aiming for, right? And if it seems too far out there, it's not, right? I've been watching a YouTuber who's going to spend all winter in a tent. He's a backpacking site. And before I laid down last night, I watched his video where he's got a wood stove in there. I priced the wood stoves. They're about $200, $200 to $300 for the new ones coming out that are lighter weight titanium. And the tent that he's got on there, and the food that he brings, and the dog helps keep him warm at night. But, you know, going back to nature, I'm definitely not for an injection. I don't want it. I'm very, very crystal clear about that. I'm not up for it. And it's not going to be happening for me. Okay. So I'm sane in the membrane. I'm not suicidal at all whatsoever. I have no depression. I do have PTSD because of what I went through with my child. My eyes cannot lie. I cannot conceal, especially being a crab. I'm a Cancer. I'm like the Earth Mother. And my son's my everything. And it's what he's the purpose of my living, you know? So at least I have that connection with him still. And if I can help the people in some way, being maybe one of the last on earth that really legitimately hears and can turn to someone when all of a sudden I do hear something and say, did you blah, blah, blah? Or Does this make sense to you? And they go, oh my God, my mother used to say that exactly. So I thought when I wrote my side of the table, but I wasn't really prepared. I wasn't really, I didn't really know how to be a great author, right? I've come through a lot in my life. And I hope to be able to not just be a jelly donut on the couch, stuffing my face, but rather be a contributor to the whole. That would make me happy. Okay? So you have a wonderful night, and think about those stripes, and have your children make it a fun project where you go somewhere where there's a black light, like an aquarium store or a reptile place or something like that, or you have a black light bulb that you buy, and make it fun where you look at those Blasco lines, and watch the movie Avatar and realize you've been watered down. You've been watered down into a government, industry-dependent white vehicle for most people. My own, okay? Devoid of pigment, less efficient with the sun, more sick. You've been bred, engineered, domesticated, industrialized, and pushed into the understanding that you expect to be sick. Well, I don't know. I only got one cold last year. Right? Well, if you're getting a cold, you're doing something wrong. Okay. Now, I want to do another live stream a time or two ahead of this one, somewhere down the road, on diet, because it's become apparent to me that people are wanting just to eat eat the same thing. They don't really know how to branch out and get the creativity. So I show you the things like the persimmons and the nutmeg. I ate the asparagus and the artichokes and the peaches and the plums. And oh my gosh, today I just about fell over when I went through the supermarket to get organic berries. I was like, whoa, $59 for, 5 containers of berries and a couple things for the dogs and a $5 thing of vegetable sushi. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So the system is going to pare down, think of a paring knife. It's going to pare down the have and the have not, and it's going to get very, very painful. So people are panicking. What is Congress going to do about unemployment? How am I going to even pay my rent and live? You got every right to be worried. We would not do that with councils of elders. We would not do that. There would be no bastards. The ship of fools would have turned right around and headed back to where they came from. So I am looking for people who are like, you know what? We really want to build. We really want to eat a very clean, whole food, a high-level whole food diet. You might still eat sardines, which I am doing right now, which is something I normally don't. I'm helping my brain. My brain was wrecked. Okay. You might be someone who's like, I would have an aversion to pork eating, factory farm chicken eating, factory farm beef eating, because that's going to deposit bacteria and projected, possibly inserted viruses that are unnatural and synthetic and chemical, right? So you got to look within, you got to examine your habits. And I am going to go drink my almond nog with my fresh nutmeg in here, being the gold digger that I am. And it's either, like I said, lay down and die or get the fuck back up. So you have a wonderful evening. No Christmas tree in my room and no cigarette smoke in my room unless it bleeds through the walls. All right. Be well.